Welcome to the Fan Channel Review. I'm joined by Callum this morning. How are you, mate?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm gutted. Man United lost last night, so the world is coming to an end. It's like the arm as a Man United fan. We've got United videos to react to, AFTV and Arsenal. We've got some rivals of Arsenal in absolute tears as well. A big Liverpool take we want to throw to you all as well. But get the like button hit, people. Make sure you are subscribing. We're going to review the videos. We're going to talk about the games last night as well. You know how Fan Channel Review works, but it's a little different now because Callum's here doing it with us. So an extra bit of intelligence for you, I would say.
We'll see.
Everybody likes a bit of eye candy as well. We're going to start with Goldbridge. This was very early in the game when United were about to concede. Let's take a little watch.
Oh, no, don't do it. Tackle him. Tackle him. For God's sake, tackle him. Why aren't you tackling him? Bloody hell.
Yeah, what? It reminds me of something. I don't know.
I say that on the sideline when I watch my kids play football.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I am.
Tackle him. It's just. Do you know what it reminds me of? Did you ever see that video? Did you ever see the video of the dog running away from its owner?
Yeah.
And I think the dog's called Wilson. It's like, Wilson! And it's chasing the deers. Wilson! It just reminded me of that so much. So let's take a look.
Oh, no, don't do it. Tackle him. Tackle him. For God's sake, tackle him. Why aren't you tackling him? Bloody hell. That defence. Why didn't they tackle him? Alanga's not celebrating. You may as well bloody celebrate, mate, because we're rubbish there. Who's that backing off? Tackle him. Bloody I've seen more tackle on Pornhub. Bloody hell. Absolutely rubbish start.
Mate, it's just tackle him.
Yeah. So it's that tribal just do what you're meant to do. Like, because that's you're looking at someone going, common sense says tackle, don't back off, engage, but they're not doing it, and it's just, you're powerless. Like the amount of times we shout and scream and copy, bro. Like you're just powerless to do anything, but you're just like, it's such an easy fix.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's like what I don't do a lot of watch alongs. I do an occasional one now on That's Football. And mainly it's because I like to prep for the match. Biggest reason I like to prep for the match reaction. So I like to take notes and think things, and I like to research stuff while I'm live because that'll be an interesting talking point. And I find it hard to do that whilst doing watch alongs. Yeah. But I do like Marks and Saeed, who we're going to feature in a minute. I have some of them on at the same time just because I find them so funny. But equally, I get where Mark's coming from because we 110% last night. 110% last night. We should have. I felt like Dorgu could have caught him up and gone on the outside, but he didn't. Garnacho tried to tackle, but goes too early. And in real terms, when you watch it back, Maz gets a bit of. Maz couldn't do anything. If Maz steps forward, the pass gets played to Gibbs White, he scores, and then we say, why didn't Maz stand his ground? I think for me, there was two. I also didn't blame Onana at the time. I've watched it back since though, and. His positioning again, he was far, from his perspective, he was too far to his right again. He was too far to his right again. And honestly, Onana, it's not always like letting the ball go through his legs or slipping. Sometimes it's just that man's positioning is awful.
Yeah. He's my favorite Man United player, Onana. He makes my day, bro. Like,
fuck you.
You know, if I'm having a bad day and I'm just like, Man United are playing, Onana's in goal. Yeah, life's good again. Life's good again. Like he should be so much better than he is. I think he just complicates things because I think he tries to do too much rather than just being a goalkeeper in his mind. But you're right, his positional awareness is awful. It's one of the things why we love Alisson, because his positional awareness.
Positional was amazing. It was even this season at home. Well, he did it. This season at home, he let a ball. He just stood still as the ball swerved. He dived out the way of a ball against Nottingham Forest. Yeah. Last season against Forest, he got sat down on his bum.
That was the best.
3 times now against Nottingham Forest. It's crazy, but yeah, Goldbridge. This is the clip I was saying. Goldbridge reminds me of. Take a listen to this. his dog is chasing it like a deer's towards the road.
You sound like Goldbridge.
And it wasn't Wilson, it was Benton, and Mark saying, tackle him. It's the same thing where you can see something horrific happening, but you can't stop it. All you can do is shout. It got me, man. It absolutely got me. Up next, let's take a look here at Saeed TV. Let's take a look at this cinema.
You lost your mind. No, I'm not.
The best part, Saeed just pouring.
He's so calm. He's over it all now, isn't it? He's just over it all now.
It's finished. It's finished.
Then kick me out. No,
I'm done. But
you lost it.
I'm done.
Well, he lost his mind,
They are like and I mean this is a compliment. They're like the Three Stooges. It's like the Three Stooges, 110%.
He's lost his mind, He said Ronaldo developed his game.
I'm done, man. You do what you want. I'm done. I need a break, man.
With coaches.
I need a break, man.
And I'm going to show you the clip.
But this is why, though. I know that Liverpool are having a bad time with Trent at the minute, but you're in a good space overall. I find this sort of stuff therapeutic when going through like a bad time with a club.
Yeah, because you're not by yourself. There's others who feel the exact same way as you, and you can relate to each other. Bro, we've been there. We've been there. The Hodgson days and all of that stuff. We've been there. There just wasn't YouTube around as prominent as it is now. But believe you me, you'd have seen walls getting punched and TVs getting smashed under the Hodgson era and a few other eras in Liverpool's history.
Mate, 100%. And it's really interesting last night. Like we talk about this backstage. I was getting called out a lot last night for having too lower standards. And essentially it's because I suppose I alluded to the fact that I was unhappy that we lost. I criticized our lack of clinical edge in attack. But overall, I can see what the manager is trying to do stylistically. I feel like we've got a base now where we're not being bopped off the park as much. We're quite hard to break down in open play. Again, we defended set pieces well last night. We pinned Forest back, which, again, I know they don't have a lot of the ball historically, but we still struggle. We just didn't have that sort of clinical edge. And you sort of get told, so you're not unhappy you lost. No, I'm just not losing my mind because I look at Man United now and think we're a team that is building a base of how we play. We just need to add better quality to this team. That can only be fixed over multiple transfer windows. And my energy is just, let's complete a build. And I'm just, forget club rebuild, structural rebuild, culture rebuild. Forget all of that for a minute, which I think is very important. But let's ignore all of that. We've got a manager that's trying to implement a style. None of our previous coaches really did that. It was a little bit of, well, I've got a bit of the last coach. I've got a bit of this coach. I'm going to try and do a bit of myself. Ten Hag said it himself. I'm never going to try and implement my Ajax style here, which is what we wanted as United fans initially. And even rivals when he came in. There was always that, if Ten Hag implements that could be dangerous. I know rivals celebrated the day when he said, I'm never going to implement that at Man United because imagine Pep arrives at your club and goes, the style of play that you've seen at Barca and Bayern and City, I'm not going to do that here. Everyone would go, thank God. So for me, but then at the same time, you go, you got low standards, Terry. The same people that say I got low standards are telling me we're finished forever. We're a dusted club and we shouldn't get our hopes up. And I'm like, hang on, how can I have low standards at the same time you're telling me that we're finished and we're broken? Yeah. I feel weird today. I'm disappointed we lost. I'm more frustrated about the discourse and the conversation surrounding us. For instance, the question of should Man United have sold Elanga or not? Here is Amorim reacting to this, and I'd love to get your opinion on it, Cal.
Yeah,
a lot of from players that come from Manchester United and they are doing right, but they had the chance here. In Manchester United, you don't have the time. I'm saying all the time, I will not have the time. We have to get it right fast. So we are talking about, but you are not talking about players that didn't play for Manchester United. They were here playing for Manchester United. In here, the pressure is too big sometimes. And sometimes you don't have time, and you should have time for these kids to develop. But for that, you need a strong base to support all these kids. If you don't have that strong base, we are not going to help our kids. So
it was really interesting listening to him there. He basically said, look, I'm not getting drawn into the Elanga conversation. Lots of players have had a chance here, didn't deliver, they've moved on. So to say should Alanga still be at Man United? Well, he fouled. I didn't realize 17 months he went without a goal at Man United. As an example, I read a stat today that said that. But equally, people are ignoring the bit. He said, we need a right base. We need the right structure. We need the team to be in a good space for these young players to develop. And that also wasn't there. And until we build that, it's almost irrelevant. But what do you make of the conversation that Sky, TNT Sports, the BBC are pushing, that Alanga is like a key reason as to why United are failing? We should have kept him and all that jazz.
It's lazy and it's clickbait. I think Amorim articulated himself perfectly there. Alanga at Man United was a good player. I don't think anyone will sit there and say he was rubbish or he was crap. But I don't remember when he got sold, Man United fans being up in arms and being like, this is a travesty. What, we're selling one of our best young players. I don't remember seeing that. I might be wrong, but I don't remember seeing that. The issue with football revisionism is that a player will leave a club 2-3 years later, they'll do well, and then everyone will go, oh, you should have kept him. Teams like Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, players do not have 2, 3, 4 years to get it right. Amorim's right. If you're at one of these top clubs, you get a season maybe. Two if you're lucky. If you're Darwin Núñez, you get 3. But look, after one season, what people were saying about Darwin Núñez, it was, he's not good enough. He's got to go. Look what people have said about Xerxes. He's not good enough. He's got to go. Højlund, not good enough. Got to go. Players do not get time at these top clubs because these top clubs aspire to win the best things all the time. So it's understandable that you can say, yeah, he scores a fantastic goal yesterday. You should have kept him. But we spoke about this before we went live as well, Terry. How do Nottingham Forest play? How do Man United play? I've seen Liverpool fans going, we need to go and get Nico Williams back. Nico Williams was good at Liverpool, but this isn't the same Nico Williams because Nico Williams was playing in a high line against one-on-one defenders, so one-on-one attackers, getting dribble past. It's different systems.
Exactly.
Look, players do better in different systems.
Now you're bang on. And Nico Williams is it's the same logic, opposite example. At Liverpool, there is far more high line, one-on-one, heavily exposed defending that your players go through. Where at Forest, he's sitting back with back fours, back fives, a solid bank of 4 or 5 ahead of him, compact, barely any space. The way he was closing down Garnacho last night, both on the left and the right-hand side, that's easy. It's not. He did a great job. It's easier to do when you've got a centre-back right close to you, a winger next to you, a centre-back close, because you can step out. And even if you don't make that tackle, there's cover. If Nico Williams is having to do that, where if he doesn't make the tackle, there's 30 yards of space to run into behind, that's where your defender looks different. The reverse is happening for Alanga. He has all the space in the world to run into against most teams on that transition, because very few teams sit back regularly against Nottingham Forest. And the revisionism, as you say, is crazy. But I know what it is. It's a hammer to beat United over the head with. Where I agree with Amorim, though, is that Man United fans, we're going through this again because we're not winning regularly enough and we're impatient. There's some stupidity thrown in there. And of course, you also get people that I think just enjoy the carnage, where we have never built a style of play and a squad for it. So we have never, we had Jose that was far more pragmatic and transitional. We had Ollie that was transitional. They were the only two where their styles slightly aligned. Their man management was different. The same Man United fans that are kicking off today, talking about Alanga, were the same ones who didn't want to play a transitional, or we would call it a counter-attack style of football. Everyone's praising what Nuno and Alanga are doing. You'd be saying we parked the bus. If Man United won last night the way Forest did, the same fans would say, but I want more. I want a style of play. To build a style of play takes time, and you haven't had one for over 12 years. And when your squad, by the way, we have still got 10 Hag players. We have still got 10 Hag. In fact, because Evans came back, we've still got Fergie players. The fact is, we need to build a squad. We need to build a team. And it's not about me being married to Amorim and he's the best thing since sliced bread. It's just we look at everything we've done in the last 12 years. He installed a style of play, coached it into every fabric of the club, built a complete squad for that style of play. It's not been done in 12 years. I just want to give it a go before we make a conclusion and throw baby out with the bathwater. I agree that we should have started it in last summer. We shouldn't have probably started it mid-season. But you know what? What I'm now starting to see is the system is in the base start to come alive. What we're lacking is the quality in it. So what should happen in theory now is you bring players in the summer, the base is already implemented. We should start next season far better than we would have done had Amorim waited until the summer to come in as an example. But look, we know where Amorim's right, but the team has got to win. I think when Amorim says that, though, what he means is if we win, the irony is you just get left alone a lot more. But what I would say to Amorim, if I got to speak to him, is this: don't be so naive. The same Man United fans standing on your neck, the same journalists coming for you. If you were winning, but it wasn't pretty football, they'd also be coming for you. It is lose-lose for Man United, even when we win half the time. And I think a lot of our fans ain't used to that. But viewers, look, we'd love to get your opinions on this. Go on, bruv. Yeah. Go on.
One thing that we haven't discussed that he mentioned here is there needs to be an environment for young players to come through and thrive. And again, I have to use Liverpool as an example. I've seen down the years players like Raheem Sterling, Jordan Ibe come through, and the team was quite weak. So they get fast tracked to the first team, and then heaps of pressure get piled on, especially Sterling, to a point where before Sterling left, you'd arguably say he was our second best attacker behind Coutinho. And at the age of 17, 18, 19, that shouldn't be the case, in my personal opinion, unless you're Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo or an Mbappe, etc. You look at under Klopp, Trent came through, Conor Bradley, Curtis Jones, Nico Williams. We've had a plethora of young players come through, and the reason they've been able to come through and be successful is because they were able to look up to the likes of Gini Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Henderson, Virgil van Dijk, Salah. So for me, for young players to thrive, obviously you've got to have the talent there. You've got to harness and nurture the mentality, but you have to build an environment whereby they can look at other players in the squad as an example and go, I can follow him. Harvey Elliott says it all the time. Salah, I look up to Salah. Salah will be in the canteen with Harvey Elliott and be like, don't have another slice of bread. You don't need it.
I agree. No, I agree. And I think it also comes down to we have decided as a club mid-season to, from a footballing philosophy perspective, we're changing everything. So there are players that maybe were suited to Ten Hag. Maybe they would be suited to a transitional style of play that we were developing under Ollie. But we're not doing that anymore. Yes, there'll be transition in our game. But I don't think predominantly, you look at Sporting Lisbon, the amount of possession they have under Amorim, you look at when you listen to him speak, he wants to pin teams back. Yeah. So you need the right players for that also. But it's going to take time. And what Man United fans, I sometimes feel like they purposely ignore it. I get if you understand it, but you don't want it. So Danny, devil in the details. I love Danny. He doesn't want to do what we're doing and change everything. He felt we should have picked a different style and a different manager and picked up from where like Ten Hag left off and just make it better. I get that logic. But the thing is that there are players that you might rate under a different system and manager and different style of football. Yeah. Who just may not fit what we're building. And it's going to take time to clear them out as you to build that base. But viewers, love to get your opinions and your views on this. This tweet I saw yesterday, I thought was very, very interesting indeed. It says here, so when we lost Saka and then lost Jesus and then Havertz shortly after, with Ben White and Martinelli also dealing with medium to long-term injuries, we were second. We are still second and won a Champions League knockout round despite the injuries. And I read this from this Arsenal fan, Scott in Chicago, and it did make me laugh a little bit. And it made me laugh a little bit because I remember, Cal, and I'm sure you did as well, the amount of rivals, the Arteta outers, the media pundits, when they lost those players and they sort of fell away from the title race, it was Arsenal are going to fall out the top four. They're in a top four race maximum. They could miss out on the Champions League. Season's over. And also we heard a lot of people this season defend Pep's team for falling off, winning 1 in 13 when they got an injury to Rodri. Yeah. Arsenal have done very, very... Listen, it was terrible summer transfer window, awful window in the January. They could have addressed these issues. That has been called out. That criticism has happened, full stop. But the way they've coped with this injury crisis, kept themselves second in the league, maintained themselves in the Champions League, is that a sign that maybe some of the negativity towards them and maybe the over-analysing of Arteta in this squad was just a little far-fetched and maybe a little bit, and I'll make sure I word this right, my chance to say I told you so, and it was a little bit premature.
Shall I tell you what is with Arsenal? Arsenal fans are one of the loudest fan base, and I know in the comments I'm going to get chewed up for this being a Liverpool fan. But Arsenal fans genuinely are one of the loudest fan bases. And they're one of the most confident fan bases. They believe in their team, as you should. So when things don't go right, it gives rival fans that ammunition to go, right, you said this, you said that. I'm going to attack you for it. Make sure you keep quiet the next time. The fact of the matter is, at the beginning of the season, I think most people predicted Arsenal to finish first or second. I predicted them to finish first. Then the Rodri injury happened, and I straight away I went, Arsenal finish first now. They're going to win the league. It's their time. And it hasn't happened. The issue with the injuries are, before the injuries, Liverpool were far out ahead of Arsenal. Now, granted, had the injuries not happened, there's an argument to say Arsenal could have mounted a comeback, put some pressure on Liverpool. Liverpool could have cracked. We could be sitting in a completely different title race right now. I get that argument. But at the same time, you do have to give them some credit as well, because they could have fallen off. Because, again, we spoke about this before we started filming. Man City and Rodri, they've had an injury to Rodri, and everyone kind of giving them a pass. Now, granted, they've had other injuries as well to defenders and attackers, etc. And they've had a bit of a refresh with Kyle Walker going and a few young defenders coming in. If that was Arsenal who are having a City season, or Liverpool that are having a City season, it would be chaos. And I say this with the greatest respect. The reason why it's not chaos with City, and I keep on saying this, is because City aren't as big a club as the others. They're more successful than the others in recent years, but they're not as big as Man United, big as Liverpool, and big as Arsenal. So the noise isn't going to be as loud around those teams. And that's what
I think I agree with all of that. What I would add to it is, I think because of how much they've won as well recently, there was a little bit less criticism. However, this is what I would say. I remember Fergie doing a 3P, a treble within that, and then we missed out to Arsenal, like when we were going for the 4P. And I remember there being massive criticism of him. Oh, didn't buy right. Maybe held on to some players too long. Should have done this. There was a relationship with him and Beckham that was fragile. I remember it getting ripped into. Now, there wasn't social media back then. There was barely the internet. But I remember those things happening. And I just thought it was an interesting one, because I felt for a long time, Cal, that the Arteta in and Arteta out debate's dead. And I mean, I'm talking about not whether or not it should go or not anymore. There's still a conversation to always be had about every manager in bad times. However, I feel I'm talking about the origins of that debate. Both groups have got too much wrong to ever claim a victory, in my personal opinion. It's like me trying to predict that I'm a psychic, and I keep trying, every half an hour you say, Terry, well, if you're a psychic, what's the time? And I keep guessing. And I got three guesses right. But you've got 32 other guesses wrong, right? And this is another one of those examples. The people that despise Arteta, we're going to fall off. We're out of the title race. We'll be in the top 4 race. We won't even make Champions League. I told you this would happen. It's all falling down. I was right about everything. Well, you've not been right about that prediction that you've made within the boast of I was correct about everything. You ended up being wrong. And I just sometimes feel, and I think it's easier for me because I'm not an Arsenal fan, from the outside looking in, to say you guys at the moment have got first world problems. You are this far away from winning major trophies. I think it is a sensible debate to have whether or not you should change manager.
Yeah.
If you can find one that is better, with a better proven track record, who fits the squad you've built, because that's key, like Slot going into your club, then I don't think it's a bad conversation to have. What I don't like from either side is sack him. Who would you bring in? Ancelotti. Well, that isn't going to happen. Or it doesn't matter who, just got to bring in better. Now, you've got to have a hypothetical solution to a hypothetical scenario. Equally, and Robbie does this, well, who's better than him? Well, there are managers out there that are better than him that are attainable. I think Alonso, as an example, there's an argument to say Alonso, Inzaghi. There's an argument to say they are better if they're suited to that squad. So I think that's a sensible conversation. But for me, I think the Arteta outers always go too far. I agree with them. They should have bought more attackers in the summer, and the board should have backed Arteta more in January and gone and signed some players. There's no doubt about that in my mind. At the same time, I think they've done well to persevere through this injury crisis, because we've seen many other teams, Liverpool and City included, in the last 5-6 years, lose a player or two and collapse and fall away. And I just sometimes feel Arsenal, the way they're discussed in the media, the way rivals talk about them, I just sometimes feel it's a little bit imbalanced. And I suppose from my point of view, I just spoke about Man United's analysis being imbalanced. I'm just trying to keep the same energy, really.
Yeah.
Let's take a little listen here to Robbie after the game yesterday and what he had to say.
Mention a player that I've been talking about this guy a lot. People like to cuss him, have a go at him. When it comes to stepping up, right, let's put some respect on Mikel Merino's name.
Yes.
Right?
Left foot, right foot, no matter.
He's stepping up with big goals all the time. Again today, the opening goal.
Big mentality.
We know he's not a striker, but he's been called upon. This is what I like about him, right? When you get called upon as a player, bro, we got an emergency. We ain't got no strikers. Jesus is out, Havertz is out. We need you to do a job for us. Who can complain that this guy has not come in and absolutely done a brilliant job for us so far?
What would you make of that? I was looking at the stats actually. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goals and 1 assist in 10 games as a striker for Arsenal. As a midfield player, it's not a bad return, is it?
Not bad at all, bro. When you look at the fact of, again, there's other strikers in the league, I'm not going to mention names, who haven't got that return. And he's a midfielder doing that in an emergency. I have to agree with Robbie there. Like, he stepped up and we all laughed.
That was in 8 games. The stats here included the 2 games for Spain he played. So it's actually 6 goals and assists in 8 games.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And look, let's be real. When we saw Mikel Merino as a striker, a lot of us fans laughed. We're like, yeah, this is going to be horrible.
We did.
Like, I was sitting there going, this is going to be fun. I ain't laughing about it now. Because he's come in and he's overachieved and overperformed what he should be doing. Imagine you told a striker to go and play centre midfield and they were pulling out great performances. You'd be like, that's amazing. Again, I have to keep the same energy. Moreno's done really well in the striker position. Again, Arsenal fans and rival fans will expect them to go in and bring in a proper striker so he can play in his preferred position. But I think it's another potential weapon for Arteta to use in the future should he need to.
No, listen, I agree. And I look back at those 2 games where it all went wrong for their Premier League campaign. West Ham defeat at home, the draw away against Forest. Now, look, Forest have only conceded 10 goals at home in the league all season. Yeah. So you have to be at your potent best to beat them at their ground, to score, let alone beat them. Yeah. And they didn't just have Merino up front. They didn't have Gabriel Jesus. They didn't have Saka. They didn't have Martinelli either. Now, again, would Liverpool score goals? They only scored 1 all season against Forest. If you took out Salah, Diaz, Gakpo, and Jota, do you actually think you'd score at Forest? Like, genuine question.
Are you leaving us with Nunez, Chiesa, and Elliott?
Yeah.
It'd be rough.
It would be rough if you took away, and this is where, again, you're defending Arsenal. It's not about defending Arsenal, because I've already stated for all the toaster people, and I call them that, Cal, because I wouldn't trust them with a toaster. Danger settings. Yeah. I've already said they had a terrible summer and they should have bought more attackers. They should have addressed it properly in January. So the criticism is there. But Merino, he isn't accountable for what the board did or didn't do. He can only react to the situation he's in. And it's interesting for me because his performances have got better since Martinelli returned. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, because I just think he's going to be the striker for the rest of the season. Now Saka's back. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see. And it was, I agree with what, I think for what he individually has done in the circumstances deserves praise. And I just think some rivals and the Arteta routers have just got to learn that saying he's done well in the circumstances is not papering over the cracks and pretending the club shouldn't have done more in the window. Like there's a nuanced intellectual conversation to have about that situation, as opposed to just, well, he's done me stupid. Up next, though, this clip's great. Let's take a look at this.
Oh my God! Thing that I really and truly don't like, and you know me, I support this club. I want this club to win trophy. But when I see Arsenal come out,
the hat, Arteta out.
Arteta out.
Do you know what? It reminds me. I grew up my next door neighbours growing up, still best friends with the lads from the family. Their mum Yvonne, she's from Jamaica. It just reminds me, just the hearing him, the way he says it, and when he's angry and he shouts. Yeah. Because I grew up on a housing estate where multiple other parents were allowed to beat me. The way it was. If I was naughty and Yvonne never saw me, the way she'd slap me, but the way he says out, right, with the halt, the amount of times we were great family friends, and she half brought us up, if I'm being honest with you. The amount of times we've been naughty in our house and she kicked us out and shouted that word, it gives me like, oh shit, Yvonne's here again. She's in her 80s now and I'm still petrified. It just brings back mad childhood memories. It really, really does.
Yardman doesn't live too far from me. We loosely know each other because we've got similar friend circles. And this isn't an act. This is who he is. Like he always speaks like this. And like again, Jamaican background in it. My family's Jamaican, so when I hear the accent, it just makes you feel at home, man. Like it's I love it.
Saying that they're doing the Arsenal dating. Like what's that all about? What's that all about?
Are you gonna join in?
No, it's like a ton. It's like a ton Tottenham. Are we supposed to be thinking about our focus on winning trophy? We're turning a dating club.
You know what's interesting, right? Again, never a dig at the individual. I do find it interesting. I was watching his fan cam. That was the thing. Saka's back and scored.
Yeah.
They won a game.
Yeah, won a game.
The main focus and the energy comes to why we doing a dating site, Robbie. And it's like it just. Listen, I know he obviously wants Arteta out, and Arsenal winning isn't good for him because he views it as Arteta's never going to get him over the line. Therefore, every win is bad for the club. So I do get it. But what do you make of the dating situation?
Well, it's just a weird thing to do for a football club, isn't it? Like, but Arsenal kind of do set up their own lane. Like they drop merchandise all the time, and they're boastful about that. They've got the dating thing now. It's an Arsenal thing to do. It gets people talking. They're just different as a club when it comes to stuff like this.
Have you ever been on Arsenal's? I only went on there because I can't remember his name. Lee Gunner told me to.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on their club site and their gifts and accessories and all things like this? No, Arsenal sell. I wouldn't buy any of it because it has Arsenal badges on.
Yeah.
But they sell. They do like a golf bag. I sent it to my brother that plays golf. What's his bag like? He went, it's really good. They sell really good stuff. Yeah, they actually do. They do that thing so well. And I then went and looked at Man United's. And again, I don't buy it. I don't give any money to the Glazers. But I was comparing it. We've got better in the last 18 months. But it's about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, I did this. And I was like, look at the shit we're selling compared. Like you could see, it was like going into Zara or going to Primark. And I'm sitting there looking and thinking, you can see the quality and difference there. So they are good, as you say, at that Arsenal. They're really good at that.
When it comes to merch, they're the best. Absolute best. But again, it's going to feed into the narrative because if they don't get over the line, it's just another thing to beat Arsenal with, isn't it? Like you lot are doing dating stuff. Like
they do legitimate dartboard. They sell legitimate dartboards on their website, right? And it's crazy. I'm just looking at it now. But even look at this. Right, they've got this leather bag they sell, right? It's a £275 bag, but you can tell by looking at it, it's that quality leather. That
it better be 275, bro.
It will be, but it's just they sell crazy. The golf bag is very expensive, pure leather, brown. It's crazy. But what I was saying about the dating, I get why some Arsenal fans won't like it, right? I get it. But you've got to remember, there are some Arsenal fans that don't like North London forever. And I always thought about this. You're a Liverpool fan. I wonder, because you know the origins of You Never Walk Alone, right?
Yeah.
It was a song by that band that's from Liverpool. What they called the Believers. Preachers. The pacemakers. But you know what it was before that, right? It's a song from musical theatre.
Yeah.
It was a musical theatre song first. And I always wonder when it became your anthem and started being sung, there must have been Scousers at that time that went, what is this shit?
Yeah,
because
how cringy is that?
How cringy. Why do we need that? Especially, by the way, what's that? Especially as it was a Man United song first. Man United sung it before. Now, that's why I'm a little bit more reserved about these things, because I always remember my dad moaning about things I would do. Oh, why you got rips in your jeans? Or why are you wearing your clothes this way? Why are you listening to that? And my nan was so level-headed, my nan. She would sort of call it out and go, Jeff, but when you were young, da-da-da-da-da-da. And what I realized the older I've got is that every generation something new comes along. And typically the older generation hate it. You get some throwbacks. You'll get the younger ones who are like, no, I'm listening to the old heads here. This is wrong and stupid. But football, literally, when I grew up, was mainly men that went, and it was meet your mates, eat food, get drunk, watch football, go home.
Yeah.
It has changed and it's evolved. The idea, like 20 years ago, if you said to your mates, I'm going to hospitality and going to have a 3-course Michelin star meal before a game,
they're destroyed.
That was treated in the same way as people are reacting to this dating situation. That is horrendous for football. Now, I see bare man who hate the dating thing. I've seen them all on their Instagram. Oh, look at the hospitality box I'm in today, because it's become normal, because it's been around so long. And I wouldn't participate in this, whether I was an Arsenal fan or not. However, if they end up making this a really good reality show that makes tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Arsenal fans pay to watch it, that money goes towards your squad, towards your salaries. And if it ends up helping, that's why I'm always, it's a money-making exercise. That's all it's about. And if it ends up making them money, and that money is used to make your team better, that's the only thing I disagree with YardMan here. I think they are focused on winning trophies. But when you compare your revenue to the other big clubs around Europe, you're 400 million behind. You have to find ways of making more money. That's the only thing I disagree when they say, we only care about merch and selling things. If you guys stop selling things, do you know how hard it's going to be for you to compete with the big boys?
Yeah.
It's a way up for me. But as you say, I totally get why people hate it. Klopp's teeth before he had them done were mad, bruv, weren't they?
I miss that guy. Man. I love Klopp.
Well, he's back soon. He's going to be the Madrid manager, so you'll love it. He's going to be back.
If him and Trent end up in Madrid, I'm going to lose my mind.
With Bellingham. With Bellingham as well. And Chouameni, you wanted all of them. Basically, Klopp's got... basically, Klopp has gone, I can't get him at Liverpool. I'm going to pretend to retire, and I'm coming back. That's what he's done to you. That's what he's done. A little bit of pain to put on here. This, for me, was my favourite reaction from last night. The Chelsea fans, as Arsenal go 2-0 up. It's meant to be a hate-along, but it's the biggest fail ever, because I know they're crying. That's why the cameras are off. But let's take a look.
Slipped.
You hear when the goal goes
save
in.
For that, bro. I'm going to change that.
The goal went in. The goal went in. The cameras are off.
Big up JC2, man. Big up.
Martinelli is not Brazilian.
Martinelli is not Brazilian. And then it just cuts. And then it just cuts out. It's a bigger L than this. L. I love it. Do you like watching a hate along? Do you like watching a hate along?
Love it. I call KG the comedian, for example. Me and him have just got this unrivaled beef that's just going on. Whenever one of our teams slip up, that we hear from each other. You're
calling him a lot then?
yeah. Oh, I'm loving it at the moment. Don't get it twisted though. He is shameless. So anything we do, if we drop points or anything, I see his number come up and like, it's curved.
Yeah, no, I get it. I enjoy it because for me, it isn't the ranting and raving on a hate along, and it doesn't matter which team people are hating on. I enjoy that silence.
Yeah,
you big up Lewis. You just hear that. Yep, cheers everyone. Like basically, try and end it to get off. This is crap. It's the silence, the fact that they've all got their cameras turned off. Yeah. Well, we also know if it had just gone 2-2 to Fulham, they'd be on, they'd be beaming, be like looking at meerkats in the zoo, like, whoa, what's going on here? So for me, I absolutely love it. The tears are amazing. And I know some people say, but you're a rival of Arsenal as well. But you're missing the point here. I enjoy fan content. It's what I work in. So it's the content I'm enjoying. It doesn't really matter who's winning and who's losing. Yeah, it is beautiful to see. Now, I was going to show a video about Trent, but we'll do that another time because we're running out of time. I wanted to get your opinion on this quickly.
Yeah, go for it.
Thomas Müller will leave Bayern Munich at the end of the season. This isn't the only tweet I've seen, but I've seen many like it that have asked the question, what has he done in his career? What's your personal reaction to that?
He doesn't just say that, Terry. He says, what has he actually done?
Actually done, yeah.
Do you know how disrespectful that is to Thomas Müller? The guy, like, what did they nicknamed Thomas Müller the Rudermiter, the space invader? Yeah. You see, this is why I go back and forth with football fans, because everything's about what looks fancy, flair, Alan Maximum, Charisma, all these players. Obviously, beautiful to watch. You enjoy watching those sort of players. But shall I tell you what comes with those players as well? A heap of frustration. Because when you really need them at the really critical moments, they don't usually get it right. I don't think I ever saw Thomas Müller pull a step over. I don't think I saw him do a rainbow flick. I never saw him do any of those things. But shall I tell you what he did do? He brought balance to teams that he played in. He was a constant goal threat, an assist machine, and one of the best players to play for Germany of all time.
Yes.
And Bayern Munich. People forget he was smashing assist records, helping Lewandowski to break records. The guy is special, man.
Mate, it's crazy. Also, it's like he started in 2008. He started playing first team football in 2008. Yeah. You're talking about a 17-year career. You're talking about a man. I was just looking at this earlier, right? And when you could argue the last couple of league titles, he's been more of a fringe player, but he's still been important. But this is a man with 12 league titles. The vast majority he played a massive part in. This is a man with 6 German FA Cups to Pokal. The man is integral in winning 2 Champions Leagues and was the runner-up in it twice, which means, and you go back and look at those seasons, this was a man that was integral to all of those teams. This is also a guy, and let's read this out, right? He was the 2010 World Cup Golden Boot winner. Went to a World Cup and was the top goal scorer. He was the 2010 best young player at the World Cup and in the All-Star team of the World Cup. In 2014, he won the silver boot and the silver ball that year and was in the All-Star. So this guy was in both teams of the tournament at the 2010 and 2014 World Cup. By the way, they won the 2014 World Cup that he was integral in. This idea that he has achieved nothing in his career. And you are right. The one issue that Thomas Müller has got is that he doesn't dribble like Eden Hazard. That he doesn't, that he didn't score the same amount of goals as Cristiano Ronaldo. But it was his efficiency, his quality, his consistency. You may argue that his peak wasn't as high as a Gareth Bale as an example. But what this man has achieved is just been, and it wasn't just, he was brilliant in Germany, won loads of domestic trophies. This guy delivered in multiple Champions League campaigns, World Cups, Euros. The guy has been amazing. But what you also, I think we've got to consider is the people criticizing him. Maybe their living memory of him is only his last 4, 5, 6 years. The same as Ryan Giggs. The amount of people that talk about him. And I'm like, okay, that's your opinion. And then you go, how old are you? Oh, I'm 27. Oh, so in his first 10, 12 years when he was in his pomp, you were in your dad's nutsack and on your mum's breast. Great. Yeah, great.
But this is a problem, though, Terry. If that is the case, don't speak about these players. You will never hear me sit there and go, George Best was just basic. George Best he was a decent dribbler, but I'd never do that because I can't sit there and say I watched most of his career.
Ian Rush was a tapping merchant, bruv.
You'd be like, now, granted, we have footage and stuff. Especially Giggs' whole career, you've got footage of. We don't have that luxury of like your George Best, your Ian Rushes, etc. You have that now with Thomas Müller. Yeah. If you really wanted to dedicate time, you could go back and look over his career. So the fact that you're coming out with statements like this, it shows me you're not a football person. You've just
true. You know, he's got the most appearances in Champions League football of any German football player ever. You know, 160
this record for Bayern Munich is crazy.
I've never actually looked at that. And again, I always look at most of these attackers, and I always find that most that go into the elite category, whether you like them aesthetically or not, most of them have always got good outputs. So people always say, "Oh, no one cared about Maradona's output."
Same thing people say about Salah. Oh, he's horrible on the eye test. Okay, cool. What does he do when he's on the football?
The craziest part about all of that is you actually go back and look at people like, say, Maradona. I know technically amazing, but he also had really good outputs. The reason why those people are all seen as legends, it wasn't because they were skillful per se. It's because there was delivery. It's because the output coincided with the skill. But
Messi, bro.
Look at this, right? What has he done in his career? I didn't even know this. This man's career, 289 goals in his career, 278 assists. So it's like 500 odd goals and assists, nearly 600 goals and assists in 830 games. And it's great. And look at the Champions League. It's 91 goals and assists in 161 games. And now what's interesting as well is those stats even become misleading because of his last 5-6 years, because a lot of those appearances have become late substitution appearances. If you just look at it as the per minute, right, because that equals it out. 10,466 minutes. So divide that by 90. It's actually about 116 full games. So if you actually do the maths on that, it's 91 goals and assists in 160. On an efficiency level, he's scoring a goal or assist in 78% of the games that he plays in. That efficiency is elite. Yeah, the revisionism on him is mad, as you say. And that's just because, again, it's just ignorance from people, in my personal opinion. But viewers, we'd love to get your opinions on that and everything we have discussed today. Cal, always a pleasure. Go and check out Coppish now. Go and get yourself subscribed. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.